Belmont Park is one of the world's most majestic racing ovals. It's the only track in the United States measuring 1.5 miles in circumference. That also happens to be the distance of the Belmont Stakes, nicknamed the Test of Champions. That's an appropriate description of the Belmont because over the years, many famous horses have tried its demanding distance with potential triple crowns on the line and come up short. It was with this historical backdrop that the 20th century closed in unprecedented drama. For the first time, 3 consecutive runnings of the Belmont Stakes offered the possibility of a Triple Crown sweep. In 1997, trainer Bob Baffert became a racing superstar. His easygoing personality and irreverent humor endeared him to a new generation of Sports Center fans. And the vehicle for his newfound stardom was Silver Charm, a battling gray colt with an undistinguished pedigree. Baffert had gotten a taste of the spotlight the year before. Cavalier appeared home free in the Kentucky Derby until he was run down in the last stride by Grindstone.
When they hit the wire, it was like, I thought he held on. I wasn't sure, but it was like I felt this. I felt what it felt like to win the Kentucky Derby. So we had to wait there in aggravation, waiting. I was looking at the riders, and they were showing the riders on the screen, and I didn't like the look I saw in Chris McCarron. He wasn't smiling. Please, I was like, please smile, Chris. So when they did hang the numbers up, I thought, well, man, how could you come so close, you know? And I thought, will I ever get another chance? I said, I might never get a chance. It was just so devastating. Luckily, my family was there for support, saying, you'll be back, you can do it. And we had Silver Charm. I just bought Silver Charm, and my brother Bill said, maybe we'll be back, we'll win it with Silver Charm.
Silver Charm, ridden by Gary Stevens, won a photo finish in the Kentucky Derby for Baffert and popular owners Bob and Beverly Lewis. Then Silver Charm survived another nail-biter in the Preakness. Just like that, the wisecracking California trainer with the white hair and sunglasses found himself in the Big Apple, on the verge of racing history and the Visa Triple Crown Challenge payoff of $5 million.
Here I am going for the Triple Crown. And so it was like, wow, what a ride we're on. I mean, this is not going to end here. You know, I thought I'm going to get off at this bus stop and go home, and here we're on to the Triple Crown. What do we do now?
And they're off. And Touch Gold came away just a touch slightly.
That race was something that was, pressure was building. You could tell the pressure was building. It was one of those, but I was still in a pretty good mood about it all. I knew we were training good. It was just a matter, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's why I go into every race, you know, and so I just treated it like another race. But turning for home, he looked like he was in a great spot.
Straightening away in the lane, Silver Charm and Freehouse, they're at it again. Silver Charm under whip with Stevens on the inside, Freehouse on the outside, and Touch Gold is third, and down the stretch they come. 3 of them in a line. Silver Charm at the rail, Touch Gold on the outside. Touch Gold puts ahead in front. 50 yards to go. Touch Gold wins it.
I saw it just leave us there the last 50 yards, and it was just so disappointing for me because I knew he didn't see the horse.
Baffert took Silver Charm's loss in stride, and in 1998 he was back and making the most of his celebrity. He was building the country's most powerful stable. Again, the Kentucky Derby was his, this time with Real Quiet, an unlikely hero Baffert and owner Mike Pegram had nicknamed Fish.
I called him the Fish because from the side he looked like a tropical fish. From the side he looked great, and you look at him front, real narrow, looked like a tropical fish. That's how he got his nickname.
When the Fish delivered again in the Preakness Stakes, Baffert was in a position no other trainer had experienced. A second straight chance at a Triple Crown. In the deciding Belmont Stakes, Real Quiet and jockey Kent DeSormo seemed to grab destiny by the tail.
And they're off in the Belmont Stakes, and Real Quiet gets away cleanly. That's Giolito, as expected, going for the lead on the outside. It's Grand Slam. Down the stretch they come. Real Quiet in front. Here comes Victory Gallop with Gary Stevens. It's Real Quiet DeSormo, but on the outside, Victory Gallop. Too tight to call. On the inside, was it Real Quiet? Did he win the Triple Crown?
It seemed almost cruel, but the photo finish showed Victory Gallop defeating Real Quiet by a nose. It was the first time a Triple Crown had ever been spoiled by such a short margin.
When the number came up, 5-stepped the number, I thought, boy, I wish it was the Preakness because I was 11 in the Preakness. And I go, oh, we got beat. I said, yeah, that's terrible. Come so close, like, oh, it's terrible. And I had my little 4-year-old girl in my arms, and she said, "But Daddy, you still got me," and that thing just brought me right back to reality.
Well, Jack, like a Hollywood script, the Belmont drama carried over to 1999, and the Lewises again took center stage. This time, the colt carrying the green and yellow Lewis silk was the ex-claimer Charismatic, a descendant of Secretariat who scored a shocking upset in the Derby with jockey Chris Antley, himself a comeback story. Charismatic proved to his skeptics that the Derby was no fluke with this convincing score in the Preakness. Now the Belmont stage was set again, only this time the commander-in-chief was Baffert's rival, D. Wayne Lucas, the most successful trainer in racing history.
One thing about Wayne, he's very positive thinking. If you hang around with him, you start believing yourself. When Wayne puts something on his mind, he doesn't have any obstacle.
Wayne, for better or worse, doesn't give up on horses. He could never be accused of giving up on horses.
Charismatic gave Lucas a chance to add a coveted page to his glittering resume.
Too many good horses have come over here down through the history. You've got all the tapes. You can play them over and over, and you can see the Alashibas and the Spectacular Bids. And, you know, Sunday Silences haven't done this. It is easy to sit here and be optimistic because you beat them twice. But there's something about that last bump in the road that's a little bit higher than the other two.
When the gates opened for the Belmont Stakes, Antley surprised everyone, including Lucas, by taking Charismatic to the front. And yet another $5 million stretch drama ensued.
Now 5 of them, and Charismatic takes the lead. Charismatic between horses, but on the outside, there goes Lemon Drop Kid just rushing to contention. Lemon Drop Kid, and on the inside, Vision and Verse. Lemon Drop Kid on the outside, Vision and Verse. Charismatic is beaten. Here's the finish. It's going to be tight. Lemon Drop Kid, I believe, held on to win it by a head. Trained by Scotty Schulhofer, ridden by Jose Santos. On the inside, Vision and Verse. It's a photo finish. Charismatic denied the Triple Crown. The final time, 2 minutes, 27 and 4/5 seconds, and Charismatic is pulling up, and that's Chris Antley off, and he's holding Charismatic's leg.
3 straight opportunities, 3 frustrating losses, and Charismatic's defeat might have been the most gut-wrenching of the 3. Charismatic pulled up after the finish with a fractured leg. He never raced again. It takes a great horse to sweep the Triple Crown's 3 races in 5 grueling weeks. After the Derby and the Preakness, many 3-year-olds are simply worn out or past their peak by the time the Belmont rolls around. Some others, well, they just can't handle the 1.5-mile distance. After Citation accomplished the feat in 1948, a quarter century elapsed before the next Triple Crown winner, Secretariat, in 1973. Then Seattle Slew cruised through the 1977 Triple Crown undefeated, followed the very next year by Affirmed, whose battles with Alydar are racing legends. Those were great horses, but sometimes greatness isn't enough. In 1979 came Spectacular Bid, a racing machine, and unquestionably one of the greatest racehorses this country has produced.
And down the stretch they come, and it's Spectacular Bid taking the lead by a length and a half. Along the inside, General Assembly is second. Blind Pastry drops back on the outside, Golden Neck coming on, but there's a 16th of a mile to go, and Spectacular Bid is going to win the 105th running of the Kentucky Derby. Spectacular Bid does it run, Franklin aboard.
They're into the stretch, coming to the 8th pole. Spectacular Bid out front by 4. Along the rail, Golden Axe. Screen King is third. Coming on to the 16th pole, it's Spectacular Bid by 6 lengths.
A decade earlier, the thought of Triple Crown winners in 3 consecutive years was considered ludicrous. But now the bid looked like a shoe-in until the morning of the Belmont Stakes, when a safety pin in the bid stall changed everything.
That's 1 in a million. That's like finding a needle in a haystack is what it's like. I mean, what's the odds that a horse is going to take a safety pin and drop it in the straw? And what I surmise what happened, he just, bam, and just hit it at the right, just perfect, and drove it right in there.
The fans at Belmont Park and those watching on national TV had no clue about the safety pin. Delt didn't tell the world about that incident until after the race. He thought Bid would win anyway.
It is Spectacular Bid. He has the lead by 3. Coastal on the inside is moving up toward leader now and down the stretch. Spectacular Bid on the outside. It is Coastal on the inside. Those two now vying for the lead, and Coastal puts ahead in front. Spectacular Bid back into second. Golden Act is third, approaching the 16th pole. It is an upset now. Coastal has the lead by 3. Spectacular Bid on the inside, Coastal on the outside. It is Coastal in front.
Jack, some were skeptical about Delt's safety pin excuse, but the record shows that Spectacular Bid lost only once more in his illustrious career. In the Jockey Club Gold Cup later that year, a firm defeated him by less than a length.
Well, Jim, when Spectacular Bid got to the Triple Crown races, he was no secret. He was a huge favorite in all 3 races. But in 1971, a Venezuelan import named Canyonero II was an unknown until he was shipped to Louisville for the Kentucky Derby. But Canyonero scored from off the pace in perhaps the biggest Derby upset ever. His trainer, Juan Arias, and jockey Gustavo Avila could speak only broken English. Arias' training methods were unorthodox for this country, but Canyonero was no flash in the pan. In the Preakness 2 weeks later, he went right to the lead, dueled through fast fractions, and pulled away to win again. By Belmont Day, the track was a sea of flag-waving Venezuelan patriots. The crowd was a record, more than 82,000. But like Spectacular Bid, Canyonero was in trouble before the gates opened. The 3 weeks since the Preakness had not been kind to the underdog. Perhaps the grueling overseas trip finally caught up to him. He developed an assortment of ailments. With the Triple Crown on the line in the Belmont, it wasn't the same Canyonero.
Up the wire, Beefcatcher is the winner. He is the winner. And on the inside, Jim French is second.
Not even legendary Calumet Farm was immune to the tribulations of the Triple Crown. Calumet had swept the series twice, in 1941 with Whirlaway, and again in 1948 with Citation. In 1958, Calumet Farm's Tim Tam came into the Belmont riding an 8-race win streak. But he, too, succumbed to the demands of the Belmont. Tim Tam suffered a career-ending injury in the race, yet still finished second to Caban on 3 good legs. In 1969, Majestic Prince went for the Triple Crown after hard-fought victories in the Derby and Preakness. Trainer Johnny Longden wanted to skip the Belmont. An ex-jockey, Longden knew what it took to win the Triple Crown. He had ridden Count Fleet in 1943. Although Majestic Prince had never lost a race, Longden said he was too fatigued to win the Belmont. However, Longden was overruled by owner Frank McMahon, and Majestic Prince ran in the Belmont. He gave it his all and came home a gallant second to Arts and Letters. Majestic Prince never raced again.
Great trainer Charlie Whittingham spent most of his Hall of Fame career avoiding the rigors of the Triple Crown. Charlie was 76 when he saddled Ferdinand to win the 1986 Kentucky Derby. And 3 years later, he too felt the sting of a Belmont near miss. Whittingham took a near-black colt named Sunday Silence to the Kentucky Derby with the intent of knocking off favorite Easy Goer. And he did it. Their rematch made for perhaps the most unforgettable Preakness stretch run of all.
Down the stretch they come. On the outside, it's Sunday Silence. Easy Goer with Pat Day. Back to challenge. Heads apart. Easy Goer on the inside with a slight lead. On the outside, Sunday Silence. The rest of them far back. Here's the finish of the Preakness. Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. Photo finish. Noses apart.
The atmosphere at the Belmont Stakes was charged with anticipation and rivalry. Easy Goer was a New York horse. His fans were avid and stubborn. Sunday Silence and Whittingham represented California. Unlike some others before him, Sunday Silence made it to the Belmont in one piece. It was Whittingham who took the punishment. While training one morning prior to the Belmont, the ungrateful Sunday Silence reared and clipped Whittingham on the head. But that was nothing compared to what Charlie endured on race day.
The track was rained all night the night before, and they rolled it down and kept it pretty on. My horse had a bruised foot, and it was bothering him a little bit. So I think that really hurt us from winning the Belmont.
Sunday Silence on the outside grabs the early lead. Then comes Le Voyageur up alongside and between horses. Easy Goer is right there. Sunday Silence appears beaten. Le Voyageur is third. Down the stretch and Easy Goer with Pat Day winning the Belmont and denying Sunday Silence the Triple Crown.
To the delight of Belmont's faithful, Easy Goer was spectacular. At the end of the year, the two colts met again in the Breeders' Cup Classic at Gulfstream Park, and Sunday Silence defeated Easy Goer again. But Jim, on that June Saturday, when Triple Crown history was at stake, Easy Goer did what his sire Alydar didn't do. He played the spoiler, and he played it well.
And speaking of Alydar, another of his sons made it to the brink of a Triple Crown in 1987. Ali Sheba almost went down in the stretch of the Kentucky Derby that year, but he quickly recovered and wore down Bet Twice. In the Preakness, Bet Twice was again his nemesis, but Ali Sheba prevailed. And in a scenario remarkably similar to the Sunday Silence and Easy Goer story, Ali Sheba and Bet Twice took their act to the Belmont Stakes.
Chris walked in and I said, Chris, this horse will be in front today and he'll be in front every step of the way. Well, he looked up at me like I fell off a banana wagon, you know, and just in shock. And I said, Chris, believe what I'm telling you. I know this horse better than I know myself. I know what he'll do.
The Belmont figured to be a two-horse race, and it was, except Ali Sheba forgot to show up.
They race down the stretch with Bet Twice extending the lead now to 8 lengths. Crypto Clearance is second by about a length. Then Ali Sheba, and on the outside is Gulch. Gone West will not win this one. It's Bet Twice in front.
I myself, and I don't want to think like I'm prejudiced or anything because I had Ali Sheba, I don't think there was ever any better horse than him. In the Belmont, he should have won the Belmont. I don't know whether our rider vapor locked or what he did, but when you worked him, it just made him feel so much stronger, so much better, and he had so much more energy. I think if you'd have run him in the Belmont the following Saturday from the Preakness, I'd tell him how fast he'd run because he was so strong and so high at that 7 days later.
A Triple Crown spoiled. Ali Sheba went on to prove his greatness through winning the Breeders' Cup Classic at year-end, and when he retired after his 4-year-old season, he was the all-time leading money-winning racehorse.
Well, Jim, do you think we've had enough of the bad news, Belmont?
I think so. This is worse than the evening news, and we aren't even finished. Back in 1944, during the war years, Pensive was the very first horse to win the Kentucky Derby and Preakness, only to lose in the Belmont by a half-length to Bounding Home. Carryback was a rags-to-riches colt who had a chance in 1961, but in the Belmont, he beat only 2 horses. The winner was Sherlock, the longest-priced horse in the history of the race. He paid $132 to win. 3 years later, it was Northern Dancer's turn. Northern Dancer would become the world's most influential sire. But although Northern Dancer defeated Quadrangle soundly in the Derby and Preakness, the Belmont Stakes, run that year at Aqueduct due to construction, went to Quadrangle, with Northern Dancer finishing 3rd.
In 1966, Hawaii King beat Amberoid in the Kentucky Derby and in the Preakness, but finished a distant 4th behind Amberoid with the Triple Crown on the line. And in 1981, Pleasant Colony was also tripped up in the Belmont, running 3rd. The winner that year was Summit.
I didn't think he really can go a mile and a half. I really didn't think he could go a mile and a half. And he was worn down. He went 3 good races, and he was worn out.
And that sums up our look at the Belmont Stakes near misses.
Yep, disappointment is as much a part of the sport as hay and oats. But one of the beauties of horse racing is that each spring brings a new cast of 3-year-old characters, and the Triple Crown play begins anew.
Jim McKay, I'm Jack Whitaker. Thanks for joining us on another Thoroughbred Classic.